Few and far between are the actors who are both adequately skilled as performers and lucky enough to appear in films and TV across 7 decades. From dancing on the big screen during the Great Depression to voicing a character on King of the Hill at the end of the 20th century, Buddy Ebsen built a staggering career that few could compete with. The man was a legend, but not every chapter of his life was full of joys and successes. Ebsen had to learn the ropes by enrolling himself into the School of Hard Knocks. Towards the end of his lengthy tenure in show business, Ebsen starred in 2 wildly successful TV series, The Beverly Hillbillies and Barnaby Jones. In this video, we're going to be celebrating this immensely talented artist by taking a candid look at the ups and downs of his life and career. Ebsen's early life and career. Buddy was the middle child with 4 sisters. He was born Christian Ludolf Ebsen Jr. on April 2, 1908, in Belleville, Illinois. His father, Christian, was a Danish choreographer who owned a dance studio and advocated for physical fitness. Eventually, he opened up a natatorium for the local school district. Buddy's mother, Frances, was a Baltic German painter. Ebsen grew up in the Belleville area until age 10, when his family packed up and moved to Palm Beach County, Florida. A few years later, Ebsen's family moved once again to Orlando. There, Buddy and his sisters learned to dance in a studio his father operated. While attending high school, Buddy was a member of the John M. Cheney chapter of the Order of Demolay. His involvement in that organization as a teen ultimately led him to being recognized by Demolay in his adult years with the Legion of Honor degree. Later on, he was inducted into the Demolay Alumni Hall of Fame. He finished up high school, graduating from Orlando High School in 1926. At first, he intended to pursue a career in the medical field. He attended college at the University of Florida in Gainesville from 1926 to 27 before transferring to Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida. Unfortunately, his family's financial peril resulting from the collapse of the Florida land boom forced him to leave college at age 20. Ebsen ventured out of Orlando in the summer of 1928, hoping to try his hand out as a dancer in New York. He embarked on that journey with just $26 in his pocket and found work at a soda fountain shop just to get by. His sister, Vilma Ebsen, performed with him as a dance act in dinner clubs and in vaudeville. They came to be known as the Baby Astairs. On Broadway, the Ebsen siblings appeared in the musicals Whoopee, Flying Colors, and Ziegfeld Follies. After receiving a glowing review from a New York columnist named Walter Winchell, who caught one of their shows in Atlantic City, the Baby Astairs were booked at the prestigious Palace Theater in New York. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. And stick around to discover how Buddy Ebsen transitioned from doing musicals and song and dance routines to becoming one of the most recognizable faces on TV. Signed by MGM. In 1935, Ebsen and his sister were approached by a talent scout for Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer for a screen test. After that went well, they ended up signing a 2-year contract with the studio, complete with a 2-year option for $1,500 a week, which at the time was a great deal of money. After moving to Hollywood, the brother and sister team made their film debut in the 1935 film Broadway Melody. Unfortunately, this would be the only film that Vilma appeared in. A contractual problem put a stop to her starring in other films, and as such, she promptly dropped out of show business. Buddy, on the other hand, went on to land roles in a handful of other films, both musicals and non-musicals, including the 1936 hit films Born to Dance and Captain January. The latter allowed him to dance with Shirley Temple. He went on to star in Broadway Melody in 1938 with Judy Garland and The Girl of the Golden West. Ebsen became known for his unusual and markedly surreal singing and dancing style. A good example of this was his performance of the Swing and the Jinx Away finale of Born to Dance. His unique abilities were probably what prompted the then-burgeoning filmmaker Walt Disney to choose him to be filmed dancing in front of a grid as an aid to animating Mickey Mouse's dance moves in Disney's 1929 to 1939 Silly Symphonies series of animated shorts. The Wizard of Oz. After turning down Louis B. Mayer's offer of an exclusive MGM contract, Mayer warned Ebsen that he'd never find work in Hollywood again. But that empty threat didn't stop the studio from casting Ebsen as the Scarecrow in the 1939 film The Wizard of Oz. Ebsen did, however, swap parts with actor Ray Bolger, who was brought in to play the Tin Man. Bolger really wanted to play the Scarecrow, and Ebsen had no objections to the change-up. Ebsen had already recorded all the songs featuring the Tin Man, attended all the rehearsals, and had begun filming when he suddenly started experiencing body aches, muscle cramps, and shortness of breath. Eventually, he had to be hospitalized. It was determined by medical professionals that he was suffering an unexpected reaction to the aluminum dust used in the Tin Man makeup, and thus was forced to leave the film's production. Apparently, MGM didn't even believe he was actually sick until he was ordered back to the set, but was stopped by an irate nurse. Actor Jack Haley was then called in to replace Ebsen. The makeup for this character was promptly swapped out to a safer aluminum paste. MGM didn't publicly acknowledge the real reason for Ebsen's departure until much later. Haley had to re-record the majority of Ebsen's lines, although Buddy's distinct Midwestern accent can still be heard on the soundtrack during several reprises of We're Off to See the Wizard. His rendition of the Tin Man's solo If I Only Had a Heart was also included in the deluxe edition of the movie's soundtrack. A still photo recreation of the scene featuring shots of Ebsen as the Tin Man was also included as a special feature with all the VHS and DVD releases of the film since 1989. For the remainder of his life, Ebsen suffered from breathing problems following his involvement in that film. World War II. After recovering, Buddy got himself caught in the middle of a nasty contract dispute with MGM that left him without work for quite some time. To pass the time, he turned to his love of sailing and became quite skilled in seamanship. So much so, he got the chance to teach the subject to naval officer candidates. He applied a handful of times for a commission in the Navy but was repeatedly turned down. The Coast Guard, however, eventually accepted his application for a commission, and he quickly earned the wartime rank of lieutenant junior grade. This was one rank above ensign, the usual rank given to newly appointed officers during times of peace. Ebsen served aboard the USS Pocatello, which recorded weather conditions at its station 1,500 miles off the coast of Seattle. Buddy was honorably discharged from the Coast Guard in 1946 with the rank of lieutenant. Ebsen's return to acting. After exiting the armed forces, he returned to the stage, hoping to give his acting career another go. He appeared in a few films before landing a role in the Disney production of Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, in 1955. After that, he dropped his song and dance routine and became a straight actor. Ebsen was given the role as Doc Golightly, an older country veterinarian abandoned by his young wife, played by Audrey Hepburn, in the 1961 film Breakfast at Tiffany's. His next big role was playing Jed Clampett, a carefree backwoods mountaineer who strikes oil and promptly relocates a ragtag gang of a family to Beverly Hills, in the enormously popular series The Beverly Hillbillies. Although it was bashed by critics, The Beverly Hillbillies drew in as many as 60 million viewers during its 9-season run between 1962 and 71. It was, on multiple occasions, the highest-rated series on TV. It also helped get off the ground similarly themed rural sitcoms like Green Acres and Petticoat Junction. Ebsen's next major role was the title character on CBS's Barnaby Jones, which aired from 1973 to 1980. Ebsen's later years and death. Even though he officially retired from acting when he entered his 80s, Ebsen made a brief cameo in the 1993 film adaptation of The Beverly Hillbillies as Barnaby Jones. Ebsen's last notable credit was in 1999 when he voiced the character Chet Elberson on an episode of King of the Hill. At age 95, he died of respiratory failure at Torrance Memorial Medical Center in Torrance, California, on July 6, 2003. Per his request, his body was then cremated at Pacific Crest Cemetery in Redondo Beach. He was later given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, as well as a star on the St. Louis Walk of Fame. Now it's time to hear from you. In the comments section below, let us know what your favorite Buddy Ebsen role was. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.